In the vast, unforgiving stretches of the Old West, where danger lurked behind every canyon and trust was as scarce as water, one act of kindness sparked a chain of events that would change a man's life forever. It began on a desolate trail, beneath the burning sun, when a weary traveler stumbled into a small town, bleeding and broken, his fate uncertain. No one dared approach. Fear and suspicion ruled these lands, but one man stepped forward without hesitation, offering help when all others turned away. This stranger's wound was severe, a stark reminder of the brutal trials faced by those who dare to traverse the wild frontier. Yet, as he was tended with quiet care and unwavering resolve, something extraordinary was set in motion, something beyond the simple act of mercy. For hours after the traveler's arrival, whispers spread through the town, rumors of a golden army appearing on the horizon, soldiers not seen by ordinary eyes, sent to guard a humble home where kindness had blossomed. What could have prompted such a formidable protection for a man who once walked the road alone and wounded? The answer lies in a story of courage, gratitude, and a bond forged in the crucible of the West's harshest moments. This is a tale not just of survival, but of honor repaid in ways that go beyond gold or guns. It is a story that challenges the very notion of power and protection in a land where both were hard-won and easily lost. As the sun set behind the rugged hills, casting long shadows across the dusty streets, the quiet town stood witness to an extraordinary transformation, a reminder that even the smallest acts of compassion can echo through the ages and summon forces beyond our understanding. The Golden Army that appeared was not just a legion of soldiers, but a symbol of the profound impact one man's mercy can have on the world around him. Join me as we unravel this incredible story from the Old West, where every choice carries weight and every moment holds the power to change a life. Discover how a single act of kindness awakened a force that protected not only a home, but a legacy that would inspire generations to come. The traveler arrived just as the sun dipped below the jagged horizon, his clothes torn and stained with blood. Every step he took was a struggle against the searing pain that pulsed from a deep wound. The town's residents watched from a distance, their eyes shadowed by suspicion and fear. After all, the Old West had taught them that strangers could be threats. But there was one man who saw beyond the traveler's battered exterior. He saw a fellow soul in need. Without hesitation, he stepped forward, a quiet strength radiating from his calm demeanor. This man was known for his simple life, tending to his modest home on the outskirts of town, keeping to himself, never asking for much. Yet when the bleeding traveler collapsed at his doorstep, he set aside all caution and acted. He cleaned the wound with gentle hands, applied bandages with care, and offered water despite the scarcity. It was a humble act, but in the lawless frontier, kindness was a currency more precious than gold. That night, as the town fell silent beneath a blanket of stars, an invisible thread began to weave a bond between these two men, a bond that would soon summon forces beyond understanding. Word of the traveler's arrival spread slowly but surely, carried by whispers in the saloon and murmurs at the general store. Speculation swirled about who he was and what had brought him bleeding into their midst. Some feared he might be a wanted outlaw. Others hoped he was a lost friend. Yet, as dawn broke, it became clear that the man who had offered aid was not concerned with questions of guilt or innocence. His focus was simple and unwavering: to save a life. And this quiet determination would prove pivotal in the days to come. While the traveler rested, slowly regaining strength, the helper watched over him with unwavering vigilance. He gathered herbs, prepared simple meals, and ensured no harm would come to the stranger under his roof. The townsfolk, curious but wary, began to see a different side to this solitary man, a protector, a guardian, a man whose courage was silent but unshakable. Their doubts started to waver as the traveler's health improved, a living testament to the care he had received. Yet, beyond the visible acts of healing, something mysterious was stirring. In the shadows beyond the town, the winds seemed to carry whispers of a golden army, warriors shrouded in legend, said to protect those who acted with true honor. No one knew when or why they appeared, only that their arrival was a sign of profound respect and protection. And as the travelers' wound began to close, this ancient promise was about to manifest in a way the town would never forget. Just hours after the travelers' strength returned, strange things began to happen. As the sun climbed high in the sky, townsfolk noticed shimmering figures appearing on the distant ridges, soldiers clad in golden armor that caught the light like flames dancing in the wind. Their presence was silent yet commanding, as if the very earth itself had summoned them to stand guard. Whispers spread quickly. This was the legendary Golden Army, protectors who appeared only for those whose hearts were pure and whose deeds were just. No one had expected the solitary man who helped the bleeding traveler to be the reason for such an extraordinary sight. The idea seemed almost impossible, a quiet farmer calling forth an army. But as the days passed, the townspeople could no longer deny the truth. The Golden Guardians stood watch around the modest home, a shield visible to all who cared to see. Their protection was both a blessing and a warning, signaling that this place was sacred, defended by forces beyond mortal reckoning. The traveler, now fully recovered, revealed the depth of his gratitude through stories that echoed through the town. He spoke of a past filled with danger and betrayal, and how the helper's kindness had saved more than just his life. It had restored his faith in humanity. Through those tales, the townsfolk came to understand that the bond between these two men was forged not just from necessity, but from honor, respect, and an unspoken promise that kindness would never go unanswered. As the Golden Army remained steadfast, the town itself began to change. Suspicion gave way to awe, and fear turned into a newfound reverence for the man who had acted without hesitation. He was no longer just a quiet figure on the edge of town. He was a symbol of the power of mercy and the extraordinary ways it can ripple through even the harshest of worlds. The Golden Army was a reminder that good deeds, no matter how small, are never forgotten. This tale from the Old West speaks to something timeless and universal, the idea that true strength lies in compassion, and that sometimes the protection we need comes from unexpected places. It reminds us that one person's courage to help another can summon forces that change the course of many lives, shaping a legacy of hope and guardianship that endures beyond the passage of time. As days turned into nights, the Golden Army's silent vigil became a source of both wonder and comfort to the town. Those armored figures, unmoving yet ever watchful, stood as living proof that kindness in the Old West was not a forgotten virtue, but a force powerful enough to command respect from forces beyond human understanding. The quiet man's home became a sanctuary, a beacon of hope in a land often ruled by harshness and cruelty. The traveler, whose life had been saved by this unlikely guardian, began to share pieces of his past, stories of perilous journeys through hostile lands, battles fought not only with guns, but with trust and loyalty. His words painted a portrait of a man hardened by loss, yet softened by the unexpected grace extended to him. It was clear that the bond forged between him and the quiet man was not accidental, but a testament to the profound impact of mercy in a world so often driven by survival alone. The townsfolk listened, captivated by the transformation unfolding before them. They had witnessed suspicion melt into gratitude, fear give way to awe. The quiet man, once overlooked and underestimated, now stood as a pillar of the community, not through boastful deeds or grand speeches, but through quiet strength and unwavering compassion. His actions had reminded them all that true courage was often wrapped in humility. Yet, not all were comfortable with this newfound reverence. Some whisper behind closed doors, uneasy with the power that kindness seemed to summon. They feared that the Golden Army's presence was a challenge to their authority and a threat to the lawlessness they thrived on. But the quiet man remained unfazed, knowing that the greatest battles were not fought with weapons, but with the enduring power of honor and goodwill. As the golden sun set, casting a warm glow on the town's dusty streets, the legacy of that singular act of kindness continued to grow. It was a reminder etched into the very fabric of the Old West, that compassion could summon guardians and inspire courage, turning even the quietest souls into legends. Word of the Golden Army and the quiet man's act spread beyond the town, carried on the wind and whispered in distant camps. Travelers and settlers alike spoke of the miracle they had witnessed, a guardian whose mercy had awakened a force few believed real. This story traveled faster than the fastest horse, crossing deserts and mountains, inspiring those who faced the brutal challenges of frontier life. As the legend grew, so did the understanding that this was no ordinary tale of survival. It was a story about the transformative power of kindness, about how one person's willingness to help a bleeding stranger could ripple out to protect many. The Golden Army was more than just mythical warriors. They were symbols of the unseen protection that rises when humanity chooses compassion over fear. Back in the town, the quiet man continued his simple life, never seeking fame or fortune. He was a man of action, not words, and that humility only deepened the respect others held for him. He understood that the true power lay not in the armor or the legends, but in the daily decisions to act with grace and courage, no matter the cost. Even the traveler, now healed and ready to continue his own journey, knew that his life had been forever changed. The gratitude he felt was not just for the saved body, but for the restored spirit, a spirit rekindled by the quiet man's unwavering kindness and the mysterious protection it had summoned. Their stories intertwined, a testament to the enduring bonds formed in the harshest of places. This chapter of the Old West reminds us that every act of kindness carries weight far beyond its moment, that mercy can awaken guardians both seen and unseen, and that even in a world of hardship, hope remains a powerful shield. The quiet man's act of kindness and the arrival of the Golden Army became a turning point, not only for the traveler, but for the entire town. The dusty streets, once filled with wary eyes and cautious whispers, began to pulse with a new energy, a sense of protection and hope that hadn't been felt in years. People started to believe that even in the unforgiving frontier, acts of compassion could rewrite the fate of many. Neighbors who had once kept to themselves began to reach out, offering help and sharing resources, inspired by the example set by the quiet man. The town slowly transformed from a place of isolated survival to a community bound by trust and mutual respect. The Golden Army's silent watch was a constant reminder that kindness was a force that deserved honor and defense. Stories of the Golden Army guarding the quiet man's home grew into legends, told and retold by travelers passing through. Some claimed to have seen the shimmering figures at dusk, standing like statues of gold, their eyes scanning the horizon for danger. These tales inspired courage in the hearts of those who lived with the daily threat of violence and hardship, reminding them that protection could come from the most unexpected sources. But behind the legend was a man whose quiet bravery was the true foundation of this miraculous defense. He didn't seek glory or recognition. His only desire was to do what was right, even when it meant risking everything. His actions were a testament to the enduring truth that true strength is found in selflessness and compassion, especially when the world seems determined to test both. This shift in the town's spirit proved that the Old West, though brutal and wild, still held space for heroes of a different kind. Those who protected not with weapons alone, but with hearts open to mercy and hands ready to help. The traveler, forever changed by the quiet man's aid, carried the story of the Golden Army wherever he went. His gratitude was boundless, not only for his life being saved, but for the reminder that even in the darkest places, light could be found. He spoke of the quiet man as a guardian angel of the frontier, a man whose humility masked an unbreakable spirit and a courage that inspired an otherworldly protection. As the traveler's journey resumed, he was accompanied in spirit by the Golden Army's legacy, a symbol that kindness begets strength and that no act of mercy is ever truly alone. This tale spread like wildfire, igniting hope in isolated settlements and lonely campsites, encouraging people to believe in the power of goodness even when surrounded by danger. Meanwhile, the quiet man continued his life away from the spotlight, tending his modest home and watching over those who crossed his path. His quiet demeanor never betrayed the weight of the legacy he had created. He understood that true heroism was not about fame, but about the silent impact one leaves behind, often unnoticed, but forever felt. The Golden Army's presence may have faded from sight, but their significance remained. They became a metaphor for the protection that rises when people choose courage and kindness over fear and cruelty. The Quiet Man's story reminded all who heard it that sometimes the most powerful guardians are those summoned by the simplest acts of compassion. This part of the Old West's rich tapestry reveals a timeless truth, that even in a world scarred by violence, the quiet strength of mercy can call forth a golden shield, guarding not just homes, but the very hope that binds humanity together. The story of the Golden Army guarding the Quiet Man's home grew to symbolize something far greater than a single act of kindness. It became a beacon of hope in the unforgiving Old West. The townsfolk, once skeptical and hardened by years of struggle, began to see that true strength was rooted in compassion. This transformation was not sudden, but unfolded like the slow rising of dawn after the longest night, bringing light to even the darkest corners of their lives. As seasons changed, the Quiet Man's humble home became a sanctuary not only for travelers, but for the weary and brokenhearted. Word spread that anyone in need would find refuge beneath its roof, protected by the unseen guardians who watched with golden eyes. People from far and wide ventured to the town, drawn by tales of the silent hero whose mercy had summoned an army, a hero who needed no weapons to command respect. Even those who had once doubted him began to witness the profound impact of his actions. Skepticism gave way to admiration, and cold hearts softened with the realization that bravery took many forms. The Quiet Man taught them that courage was not always loud or violent, but could be found in quiet decisions to help others despite the risks. His story reminded the West that the greatest battles were often fought in silence. Yet, beneath the growing legend, the Quiet Man remained unchanged, a figure of humility who understood the fragility of the peace he had helped create. His focus was not on fame or fortune, but on the continued protection of those who could not protect themselves. Through his actions, he encouraged a community to rise above fear and division, building a legacy grounded in hope and resilience. The Golden Army's watchful presence was a powerful reminder that true guardianship is born from kindness, and that even in the harshest landscapes, the seeds of compassion can grow into an unbreakable shield. This chapter in the Old West shows us that heroes come in many forms, sometimes in silence, sometimes in gold. However, not all forces welcomed this wave of compassion and protection. The shadows of the Old West still harbored those who thrived on fear and chaos, outlaws and ruthless men who saw the Quiet Man's influence as a threat to their reign. They plotted in dark corners, seeking to unravel the fragile peace and silence the Golden Guardians forever. But the Quiet Man was no stranger to danger. His calm resolve and unwavering sense of justice stood as a formidable barrier against those who sought to spread violence. When threats emerged, he did not rush in a battle with guns blazing. Instead, his strength lay in his unshakable presence, his strategic mind, and the loyalty he inspired in those who believed in his cause. The Golden Army, real or legend, was a testament to the power of his spirit, a force that could not be easily broken. The town rallied behind him, their fear replaced by courage drawn from the Quiet Man's example. They learned that standing together, united by respect and compassion, they could face even the darkest threats. The Golden Army's watchful eyes became a symbol of the collective strength found in community and kindness, a shield born not of weapons, but of shared humanity. Through trials and confrontations, the Quiet Man's legacy deepened, proving that mercy and strength are not opposing forces, but partners in survival. His story became a lesson etched into the hearts of all who called the frontier home, that the most enduring protection comes from those who act with courage and compassion, even when no one is watching. And so, the legend of the Quiet Man and his Golden Guardians continues to inspire, a timeless reminder that even in the wildest lands, hope can be defended by the silent acts of a humble heart. As the years passed, the tale of the Quiet Man and his Golden Army transformed from mere legend into a lasting testament to the power of kindness in the Old West. The once dusty and suspicious town had blossomed into a community bound not just by proximity, but by shared values inspired by the Quiet Man's example. His humble acts of mercy had ignited a flame of hope that refused to be extinguished, even in a world often defined by hardship and cruelty. Travelers who heard the story carried it like a precious talisman, reminding others that even in the harshest of places, a single act of compassion could summon guardians beyond the realm of the ordinary. The Golden Army, whether flesh and blood or myth made manifest by faith and gratitude, represented something profoundly real, the protective power born from genuine human connection and sacrifice. The quiet man himself remained an enigma, a figure who moved quietly through life, leaving footprints not in the sand but in the hearts of those he touched. He never sought accolades, nor did he relish the stories that grew around him. Instead, he understood that true strength came from the silent determination to stand for what was right, to protect without expectation, and to give without reservation. His legacy was less about the armor of the Golden Army and more about the courage to act with unwavering kindness in a land that often demanded harshness. Through his example, the town learned that heroism was not reserved for the loud and the bold, but was found most powerfully in those who dare to show mercy when it mattered most. Yet, the quiet man's journey was not without its own inner battles. Beneath his calm exterior lay the weight of countless sacrifices and the burden of knowing that every life saved came at a cost, to himself and to the fragile balance of the frontier. But he bore this burden with quiet grace, fueled by a belief that every act of kindness was a seed planted for a better tomorrow. The Golden Army that guarded his home was more than just protection. It was a symbol of hope made tangible, a reminder that the goodness we give freely can return to shield us in times of need. This truth, carved into the fabric of the Old West, speaks to all generations about the enduring impact of selfless courage. The legend also teaches that our greatest strength lies not in isolation, but in community, in the invisible threads that connect us through shared trials, empathy, and respect. The quiet man's story is a call to recognize the power we each hold to influence others through kindness, to become guardians in our own right, whether or not we wear golden armor. His legacy challenges us to embrace humility, to act with courage in silence, and to believe in the ripple effect of small deeds. In this way, the Old West becomes not just a backdrop of danger and survival, but a canvas where the quiet acts of heroes paint a lasting picture of hope and humanity. As the sun finally set on this chapter of frontier history, the quiet man's story reminds us that sometimes the most profound battles are fought without words, and the most enduring victories are those of the heart. His tale is an invitation to all who hear it, to live with the quiet courage to help, to protect, and to inspire, knowing that even the smallest act can awaken a golden army within us all. The final echoes of the quiet man's life resonate far beyond the dusty trails and weathered buildings of his time. Though his footsteps faded into the horizon, the lessons he left behind continue to shine like a beacon through the ages. His story is not merely a piece of Old West folklore, but a timeless reminder that every person holds the power to change the course of lives through empathy and courage. In a world that often celebrates the loud and the visible, the quiet man stands as a testament to the strength found in humility, the resilience born from compassion, and the protection that springs from acts of genuine kindness. As the Golden Army's watchful gaze softened into legend, the spirit it embodied lived on in the hearts of those who understood the true meaning of guardianship. It taught communities that protection and power do not always come from weapons or might, but from the collective will to stand for what is just and good. The quiet man's legacy encouraged countless others to embrace their own silent bravery, to be the steady hand in times of chaos, the calm in moments of fear, and the unseen shield that guards hope. Looking back on this incredible tale, we see more than a story of survival. We see a blueprint for how humanity can thrive even in the harshest conditions. The quiet man's journey invites us to find strength in our quietest moments, to choose kindness when it is easiest to turn away, and to understand that true courage often speaks in whispers rather than shouts. It is a lesson that transcends time, reminding us that the greatest armies are sometimes those made of hope, honor, and the willingness to protect others without expectation. In the end, the quiet man's story is a powerful call to action for all of us, to recognize that the legacy we leave is shaped not by the battles we fight in the spotlight, but by the compassion we extend in the shadows. It challenges us to become the guardians of our communities, to foster courage in silence, and to believe in the unseen forces that rise when we act from the heart. This is the true spirit of the Old West, a spirit alive in every quiet hero who dares to make a difference. As the dust settles on this legendary tale, remember that the Golden Army is not just a myth from the past. It is a symbol within each of us, the strength, hope, and protection we offer through kindness and courage. The quiet man's legacy lives on, urging us all to walk quietly but carry a powerful light that can change the world. As we bring this incredible story to a close, we are left with a profound truth that sometimes the smallest acts of kindness can summon the greatest protection. The quiet man's choice to help a bleeding traveler did not just save a life. It awakened a golden army that guarded not only a home, but an entire community's hope. This story teaches us that courage and compassion are powerful forces, capable of creating ripples that extend far beyond what we can see. Throughout the harsh and unforgiving landscape of the Old West, the quiet man embodied a timeless lesson. True strength is born from humility, and real heroism shines brightest when it is free from the desire for recognition. His story challenges us to look beyond the loudest voices and grandest gestures, reminding us that often the most meaningful impact is made in silence, through steady, selfless actions. What this tale ultimately calls us to remember is that every person has the potential to be a guardian, not through force or fame, but through the courage to act with kindness when it matters most. The Golden Army, whether legend or spirit, symbolizes the unseen power that rises when we choose compassion over indifference and bravery over fear. It's a call to each of us to embrace our own quiet strength and to protect what truly matters in our lives. As you reflect on this story, ask yourself, how can you become the quiet hero in someone else's life? What acts of kindness, no matter how small, might awaken your own golden guardians? The legacy of the quiet man from the Old West invites us all to believe in the power of mercy, courage, and connection, forces that transcend time and place, shaping the world one heart at a time. If this story moved you, consider joining our community by subscribing to the channel. Like this video if it inspired you, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your voice matters and helps keep these powerful stories alive. Together, we can build a world where kindness is our strongest defense, and where every quiet act of courage lights the way for others.